Glad to see so many here interested in scripting about Microsoft Teams. I'm Victor Wellén, work for Avanade. Been working with Teams since even before it was known as Teams to you all. So I'm super excited about seeing some of the scripting capabilities in Teams actually now starting to bear fruit. We can't do everything we want yet. There's a lot of things, great things announced this week, so hopefully we will see a lot of improvements going forward. I'm going to show you what can be done today, but also how you potentially, how Microsoft will fill the gaps, and also how the community is filling the gap in terms of scripting capabilities in Teams. So why would you want to script Microsoft Teams? And these are two of the most common samples. One is that you want to create a coherent experience across the Teams. You might want to have the same kind of tabs, applications, channels. For instance, you have a project team, kind of, and you want to divide them up and add these tabs or functions and features to them. The other one is mass creation of teams. So you need to create hundreds of teams or automate that process. So, or pre-populate, or migration even. You might have some similar system. You want to migrate out of that, so you want to suck out the data from the old system and put it into Microsoft Teams. We can do that in many ways. We can use the thing that actually exists today. If we want to create a similar experience, we can use template teams. That is not scripting, but when you create a team today, you can actually clone an existing team. So you can have admins creating these template teams that they only allowed to modify, and then you can use that to create a similar team. So that's work today. We've been doing quite a few projects at Avanade where we need to create similar teams, and what we've done is using RPA tools, essentially tools that clicks around the screen and creates the teams for you. And that's not a very efficient method of actually doing it in scale, and very brittle solution as well. PowerShell is probably what you all expect that we should use when scripting with Microsoft Teams, and PowerShell is what Microsoft provides us with some capabilities. So that is the official way of doing it. But how many of you have heard about the Office 365 CLI? Not many of you, but that's a community-driven, open-source command line interface to Office 365 in general, containing scripting capabilities for everything from groups to Teams to Azure AD to SharePoint to whatnot. And we have just started adding Teams capabilities to Office 365 CLI as well. And in the demo that we'll do later, we'll actually show where the PowerShell module doesn't have those features, but we can use a combination of the CLI and the PowerShell to actually achieve what we want. And then we have the worst option. It's not scripting, it's more development. So everything that the PowerShell module can do, it's essentially talking to the Microsoft Graph, and that's where all the endpoints and features and functions and capabilities exist. So that's where they end up first, and then they come to the PowerShell modules. So if you really want to dig deep into or do stuff that's not existing in PowerShell, you have to look into the graph and build your own solution. But both the CLI and PowerShell acts on top of the Microsoft Graph, so look into the graph to see the capabilities. So not everything can be scripted or automated today. This is fairly limited in the beta version of the PowerShell module that exists today. What you can do is you can create teams, channels, and threads. And you can add and remove team members. You can add files. You do that with the PowerShell for SharePoint, because the files exist in SharePoint. If you want to modify Planner and those kind of tabs as well, and Flow or whatnot, you have to look into those specific PowerShell modules. You can also publish tabs in apps. That is something that was released this week. It's coming to the Microsoft Graph right now, so we will hopefully see it very shortly in PowerShell module and also in the CLI. And when it comes to the template teams, what they also announced this week is the concept of having a graph endpoint where you can essentially provision a team with everything from tabs to channels to applications and bots and whatnot. So that is a feature that is coming. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll see that in the PowerShell module as well going forward. So as I mentioned, Microsoft Graph is the source of what you can do. So if it doesn't exist in the graph, you cannot do that in PowerShell or the CLI or any other way. Another limitation we had until just recently is that the only thing you could script was those teams you were a member of. And you've probably seen that from an admin side. There's no site collection admin or similar, or a SharePoint admin that we have in SharePoint, but they just announced now that we will have a Microsoft Teams administrator role in Azure AD, which makes it much more easier to actually work across and script with the teams that we have. I have not been able to test that, but yeah, they announced it this week, so hopefully we will see this in the upcoming months and weeks. Another big thing for me when scripting or automating with teams is that you don't always have a user that logs in, and you want to use what's called an app-only context, that is an application that's doing the updates for you. And there's limited support for that. I will show you in a demo as well how that works. That means I sign in with a certificate and act on behalf, so I don't act on behalf of a user. So I can do that in background on daemon processes and whatnot. That's super important. But they also announced a lot of new features or capabilities in this area. So they're covering more of the graph. Essentially, all of that is graph features, but they added the app only to more endpoints. So let's switch over to my laptop. How many of you have worked with the PowerShell module for Microsoft Teams? A few of you, yeah. So there isn't that much in it right now, but I will show you what we can do and some of the limitations, and also where we, as I said, we cover the gaps with the 365 CLI. You can get all this code from askvictor.com/team-scripts. The available PowerShell module right now is 0.9.2. I'm actually using an internal build 0.9.4 in here, which adds some more those more scripting capabilities that you actually can work with teams that you're not a member of. But in general, it's almost the same commands. It's not a big difference. So what you do is you have two ways of installing it. Either you do install module name Microsoft Teams, and that install it for your machine, and you need to do the admin consent on it, or I prefer to install it for the current user, so I don't have to do admin consent. And that can be important as well if you want to automate stuff in an Azure function, for instance. So you can use PowerShell in Azure function, and that's a good way to install it for the current user only. So I've already done that on the machine. They have a built-in help tool that I can run to see all the commands. So if I run get-team help, I can see all the commands that are available in this. So the list of these, what's it, like 20-25 of them, compared to PowerShell or SharePoint, for instance, which have several hundreds of PowerShell commanders. So yes, it's limited now, but the team is working hard on that. The first thing you need to do is to connect to Microsoft Teams, and you do that through the connect to Microsoft Teams command. That you can do that either with username password, or send in the PowerShell credentials, or you can even send in an Azure AD application token, so you can use a certificate and do that app only. I'm going to run with the pop-up now, which works with MFA, and that will actually pop up in the background. So if you run that command and you don't see anything happening, you have to do Alt-Tab. And because I'm bad at remembering passwords, I have them in here. Let's see, let's copy-paste. Next, and sign in. So once I'm signed in, it will show me the information about my tenant and my current logged in user. So I'm logged in as this account, this is environment, tenant ID, and domain, etc. And of course, when I'm done, I should disconnect from Microsoft Teams. The first obvious thing you want to do is list the teams you have. It could be very good for reporting, for instance, see what teams do we have in our tenant. And this is the feature that is different in 0.9.2 and 9.4, is that get team lists all the teams in the tenant, not just the one you're a member of. So if I run that, take a few seconds, and I will get the Office 365 group ID and the display name and description of all the teams. So I can use this to drill further. I can also just, and I'm doing this for a reason, I can run get team and count. So it says it's 16 teams in here. Remember that? Now I can run get team for a specific user. So I run the user I'm logged in as, and I can show the teams for that user. And let's check the count for this user, how many teams he's member of. 17. I just listed was 16 teams in the tenant, but he's member of 17. So that's some weird stuff going on in this beta version. Yeah, we reported that. So I was a bit, and also it doesn't really always update immediately if you add a team. Might be some caching in there. So let's check John Doe here. What team is he a member of? Okay, sorry, can't do that. Access denied. So you can only really go in and check your user when you logged in as a user here. So these are limitations they're looking at from an administrator perspective. And it's not feasible to log in as every user and check their teams right. This can be worked around, as we will see later. So when I have a team, I can just, shouldn't have done that. I can get the team just by doing this. So I get out the team, and I always work with the IDs here. So let's get out the group ID here. Let's run these two lines. And I have the group ID. And once I have that, I can actually start working with the team and do a lot of things. For instance, I can list the channels in the team. It only has the general one, but as soon as I add more, they will list in there. I can check the fun settings. The fun settings is do you enable memes or GIFs and those kind of things, and what content rating I have. We have the guest settings, which is one of the things that we actually do in production with our clients, is that the guest settings is what we want to control or report on and ensure that it's correctly set. So we can go in here and tell what the guest settings can do. We can check the members, what they are allowed to do, and finally the messaging settings. So there's a couple of commandlets there to use to check out what settings you have. So let's go in and list all the members in this team as well. Get team user. This is also typically what you report on. And I can see we have 3 users in here. And there's 1 owner, 1 member, and 1 guest even. And I can get all the information I need there. I can even I won't just list the owners. For instance, in reporting, find all the teams, list all the owners of them. To create a new team, you just use the new team commandlet, display name, description, you give it an alias, and what access type it has. But also I can add the creator as member. In this version of the PowerShell module, we'll always add, if you're logged in as a user, the creator as member. But going forward, we can actually create teams for other groups and don't have to be a member of them. So if we run this one, we will take a few seconds. And this will also create Office 365 group, etc. So, and it will start creating the SharePoint site in the background. So if you imagine you're scripting in a bigger perspective and not just teams, since SharePoint creation, that is asynchronous, so it will take some time. So you need to poll that. There's no signal when the SharePoint site is created, so you might poll that or wait to do a pause or something like that. So now I have my team. Let's run F8, we get the ID of it, and let's populate that once we have it, so we can get the users in here, and we can see it should be only 1 user. That's me who created it. And of course, I can set the picture to that team, so it looks good. We can switch over to Microsoft Teams, see if it popped up here. Ignite demo team. It takes a few seconds or sometimes minutes before the logo actually appears, so I have to reload. We can then update some settings. Let's say that we don't want users to delete messages. So we run that one. We can verify that it's okay. Now they're long enough allowed to delete messages in here. We can also create channels. Similar thing, new channel. We give them a group ID, display name, description, and then we get it afterwards. We should have 2 channels in here. Actually, we have 2 channels. The way why it looks like this is because I run the get team channel afterwards. So we run it again like that. You'll see 2 channels. We can update a channel, change the name of it. So we can go in here. We should see this reflector now. It has a better name. We can also add users. So if we want to do this in bulk, for instance, add a lot of users, this is very convenient. Just add team user like that. We specify the username of it and the member, or the role, in this case a member. And once we've done that, we can see that John should be a member of the group. And when I'm done, as I said, we do disconnect. So that's typically what you do when you sign in as that's what you can do. We cannot do much more than that actually right now when you sign in as a user. So let's take a look at the other example. When you sign in as with an application, a certificate instead. In that case, you need to go to Azure AD, create an application, and configure it for certificate authentication, which gives you an application ID, a thumbprint, and you also need a tenant ID. So if we just store those as a parameter, then I can connect to Microsoft Teams using this instead, like this. What happened now? One or more errors. Key set does not exist. Yes, that's why. License. That's because the certificate is not installed on this one. Sense. Isn't called a license manager. What? This happens since it's I should have checked this before. License manager. Let's go in admin. Where's admin controls? I'll do like this. Just a second. PowerShell admin. I can install it with this command here. Like that. I need to import the certificate. CD. Excuse the small. I just need to do this very quickly. Ignite. Team script. CD repo. Like that. Now it should be installed. Let's connect again. This is tip. And now somebody remember what they call license manager. Let's see. Yeah, let's skip that then. Yeah, we talk about the code. What I'm doing, I can connect and do the same kind of things, but in the context of an application instead. So in that case, I can actually go in and you will see that if it would have worked, you would have seen that when I run get teams for another user, or for a user, it actually works. So that's the way to do it. But on the other hand, I cannot create teams, and that's what I mentioned. We still have the option of not specifying to add the user as a member, and since that actually happens all the time right now, so we cannot create new teams with application-only context. So that is unfortunately a gap. There is, however, another way to do that, and you can download this code, and there's pretty good documentation on it. Is to install the Office 365 CLI, where we implemented the new team command that with support for app-only context. So you can use a combination of PowerShell. So using that, I can actually go in and create teams without having it being logged in as a user, and that works really good. And in that case, I could create those teams. Another way of doing it is to go in and create an Office 365 group with PowerShell. You can do that, and then do just new team with that group ID, and that will connect the team to the group. So that's another workaround to doing it. Same thing here. New team channel does not work with the certificate-based authentication yet. Of course, that's going to be covered or fixed in the short-term future, near future, I would say. So, but I'm super excited about the announcement this week, and unfortunately, I don't have access to the latest builds of those, and that's internal endpoints right now. But we will probably see over the next few, I said, weeks and months, new additions to the PowerShell command so we can actually do proper scripting. Right now, it's more oriented to do some reporting on the teams you have. I think we're almost on time. As I said, you can go to this one, download everything in here. The only thing that is a little bit problematic to test this is if you're unused to working with Azure AD and creating that application in Azure AD. If there's any questions, go and post a question on that GitHub repo, and I can help you going forward. And hopefully, we can keep updating these scripts as well as soon as we have updates to the new PowerShell modules and when they come out. Thank you all for coming, and don't forget to submit your evaluations, both on the session and on the conference. Thanks all. I'll be here if you have any questions.